If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountains should crumble to the sea, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me. The song Stand By Me was written by Benny King in the 60s. In 2010, Prince Royce created a great Spanglish bachata version as well. The words connect with our interesting readings today. Whatever terrifying situation we face in our lives, we won't be afraid, because God stands by us, and God also calls us to stand by one another. The images in today's gospel are terrifying. The heavens and earth shaking, the sun going dark, and the stars falling from the sky. Jesus painted this picture for his disciples who asked how they would know the end times are coming. The last 2 years, I have accompanied and served our brothers and sisters seeking asylum in the U.S. while they wait in Ciudad Juarez. The feeling of terror is one with which our families are familiar. It must feel like the end times when your mother is assassinated in her church for practicing her religion in Honduras, or when your son is kidnapped by a cartel and held for ransom in a Mexican border town. It must feel like the end of the world when you have to flee El Salvador because a gang wants to kill you for refusing to join them. These are true stories from our families. Our brothers and sisters carry in their hearts and their minds and their bodies this kind of tragedy and trauma. Yet each person finds the strength and courage to make the journey and seek asylum, not simply to have a better life, but to be able to live. The journey through multiple countries and especially through Mexico is dangerous. It can include days without food, sleeping in the desert in frigid cold temperatures, abuse, and discrimination. And there is always the risk of being robbed, kidnapped, or raped. Not everyone survives. In the last 2 years, our U.S. government has taken actions that discourage and prevent people from seeking asylum, although it is a human right. One of these actions is MPP, the Migrant Protection Protocol Program, which began in 2019. MPP is also known as Remain in Mexico. It forced around 70,000 people to wait in border cities, including Juarez, for multiple court hearings spread out over several months. How does a family survive for a long period of time in a border town known for violence and criminal activity against people who are migrants? This program did not protect, but endangered our brothers and sisters seeking asylum. Fortunately, MPP ended in early 2021, allowing many of our families to cross into the U.S. to await their hearings. Unfortunately, MPP may possibly be reinstated, forcing our brothers and sisters who are newer arrivals to wait on the Mexico side of the border once again. It's not easy to wait for answers, but our families from El Salvador, Nicaragua, Guatemala, Ecuador, Cuba, Honduras, Brazil, and Haiti are teaching us how to wait with hope and faith. Yes, there are moments of discouragement and frustration. Jesus' message before and after this gospel is helpful in how one waits, by being vigilant, watchful, and staying awake. I have witnessed people in our shelters choose to actively wait by being watchful and making the most of their days with prayer, work, processing trauma with a counselor, learning another language, quality time with family, and serving the community. Before the end of MPP, we didn't know if or when the situation would change, and the pandemic certainly made everything more difficult. Starting last February, for many people who had waited 1 or 2 years, their time came to cross into the U.S., and it was glorious to witness the joy in their faces. There were also lots of tearful goodbyes to their friends they would no longer see daily. Now the road ahead is still long for those who have crossed. Now Jesus tells his disciples that the Son of Man will come in the clouds with great power and glory, and the angels will gather the elect from the 4 winds. We don't know the hour or the day. The reading is filled with mystery, symbolism, and vivid imagery. And when we look at the first reading from the book of Daniel, we find a similar style. The book of Daniel is known as apocalyptic literature and intended to encourage our Jewish brothers and sisters and later Christians during a time of persecution and crisis. It's tough right now, and it may even get worse. However, don't be afraid. God saves. People on the move all over the world understand persecution and crisis. We cannot ignore the factors that cause people to flee from their countries. The corrupt governments, cartels, and gang violence, discrimination, extreme poverty, natural disasters, and limited access to basic resources are driving people from their countries. Not all of these reasons meet the requirements of an asylum seeker. However, people on the move all over the world are sending us a message. These are the signs of the times. Are we paying attention? How has the U.S. contributed to the injustices in these countries? How do we respond? How do we stand by our brothers and sisters seeking asylum in the U.S.? How can we advocate for more just, humane, and compassionate immigration laws that honor the dignity of our brothers and sisters? God told Daniel that Michael, the guardian and advocate of the Jewish people, would come to save them in the first reading. Michael stands by God's people and battles evil. At the end of the first reading, we encounter the striking line, "But the wise shall shine brightly, and those who lead the many to justice shall be like the stars forever." I too know wise people who, like Michael, not only lead the many to justice, but stand by the people. When we stand by our brothers and sisters in need or in trouble, we stand by God. A bright young woman from El Salvador who is in the MPP program has been in Juarez almost 3 years. She volunteers at a shelter accompanying and encouraging our brothers and sisters who also wait for asylum. A lawyer who arrived in Juarez in 2019 offered free legal consultation to the multitudes. Day and night, she meets people in and out of the shelters, on the streets, and at bridges so people can know their rights and options. A Catholic woman who listens carefully to the needs of each person, asks questions, and finds ways to connect people with resources. She has helped people escape from dangerous and abusive situations. She sees the face of Jesus in each person. She is the coordinator for one of the shelters where I'm grateful to serve and accompany. She reminds us to listen to the voices of the people. The people we walk with and stand by are our guides and teachers, leading us to justice. Life is not as terrifying when we know that we are not alone. The psalm today is similar to the song, "Stand By Me," as it emphasizes that with God at my right hand, I will not be disturbed. My heart, body, and soul are confident because God does not abandon me. These words resonate with the stories from our families seeking asylum. There is a deep trust in God's constant presence and faith that God will continue to lead us on the path of life. We are God's beloved ones, God's darlings, called to stand by one another, knowing that God always stands by us.